and all such reasons. And another mobile was technologically absolutely obsolete. I bought my first mobile way back in 1998. So I'm in my 14th year carrying the fourth mobile, which is not a bad number, fourth mobile in 14 years, because I know people who may be carrying 14th mobile in 4 years. But still, it's a bad count for me. So when I'm saying that we are going through this kind of contradiction, I'm a contradiction to what I'm talking standing here. Maybe one has tried to minimize on so many other consumption-based activities in my own personal life I have attempted, but in family life very difficult because there are pressures you got to live with. Now the first line all I've heard, necessity is the mother of invention. Sorry if my second line hurts whoever has said the first line. I don't know who said it, so I don't know if anyone knows here who quoted that. Does anyone know who quoted that first line? I hope not so. Second line is mine, so it's all right. I can say that. Menon one day was telling me when I was to work in Banaras Ghats, they were looking very run down. And he said something very interesting. I'm a young graduate, had the so-called big master's degree in urban design, and I opted to go and work in Banaras Ghats against everyone's wish. They said, come on, yaar, why do you want to go to Banaras Ghats and work there? Walk into some big office in big city and all that. For some reason I said, no, I'll go there. And it was all terrible. Looking, he had come down and he told me one thing very interesting. He said, Satya, you're wrong, he said. I said, sir, why? He said, look, tomorrow, if the person has some little more money, he will go and paint the house. They don't have money, hence the house is looking run down on the Ghats. If they have even a little more money, they will replace the old rotten wooden windows with a new window. Maybe even a steel window they will put. If they have even more money, they will do something else. Even more money, they demolish and build a new building there. So affordability is something very, very interesting phenomena when you are talking of sustainability. Today, affordability is increasing, hence sustainability suffers. As someone who has been deeply concerned about these issues for many years now, this is one of the revelations one has been sharing, feeling very strongly in the mind. But by saying it, I'm not saying, none of us can change the world. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you all. So there is an American philosophy, or it started in America somewhere, by the group of people known as voluntary simplicity. Yes, you can fly, but take a train. Yes, you can have a 12-course dinner, manage in 5 course. Yes, you can go and buy a 4,000 rupees worth suit, buy a 2,000 rupees worth, whatever it could be like. It's very voluntary simplicity. So a lot of people have talked about in different ways, and we all know that. This is done for a NGO very incidentally, and is one of our projects which combines cost, culture, climate, and although some of the points which I talked about. We have tried to merge some of the ideas. This is also one of the buildings there. We have done about 3 buildings in this NGO campus till now. A while ago, when I was talking about the need to understand what it is to live naturally. It's very difficult for us to share what does it really mean. When I sent my mail to the IAB people, they said, do you have any other requirements and things about coming here to give a talk? I wrote back saying a few strange things there are many more strange things which I do in my personal life. But I wrote back something that I would be happy if I don't see a bottled water bottle on stage and off stage. But I'm not against it, I said, because look, it's my personal philosophy. I'm not against. When I came, I saw them. I was a little perplexed. I just still kept quiet. But then I think one of them, Parikshit, or one of them, they opened it. They said, it's actually not bottled water. They're open and there's no label. They only used the bottle to fill water and kept it as such. I thought it's a very interesting idea. Makes better sense than having a bottled water. And there are many such small instances one can really work with. There have been places where hotels compulsorily sell. I was once in Bombay to make a presentation on SICA, sustainability in construction, etc., for some. And we were all put up in one of those Marriott Courtyard hotel. And in the room, they had kept a water bottle, which was looking very nice. And I saw it was one of those French Alps or whatever it said. And apparently what happened, I just kept it there because I normally don't drink any of the bottled waters. And I can very proudly say that across all my life now, I have not bought these bottles more than 10 times yet. I always carry my bottle. First time, sometimes I might have bought at home, there will be some, and I always fill my water. And if there is no bottle available, I manage. 2 hours, 3 hours thirst, human beings can manage. One of my friend who was also invited to the conference, not knowing, they had used that bottle. And when he went to pay the bill, he was billed some 150 rupees extra, and he was asked why. They said, sir, the water bottle which was in the room, you have used, and that we have to charge. And it's 150 rupees for a bottle of this size. He ended up paying. You know why I'm saying this is for a simple reason. Today, if we really have to lead a more sustainable life, we have to have the guts to negate some of the more common practices around. It's very difficult. It was about 3 years ago, first time, I went to a restaurant, I had gone with the family, and they have this habit of keeping a little paper under the plate sometimes, and incidentally the paper had a statement. There are a series of statements, very nice statements were there. The statement by Einstein, the statement by Buddha, some nice statements were there. And it was a restaurant by name Little Italy in Bangalore. And then the plate was kept, and I saw there was a Buddha statement. I didn't feel like eating on a statement by Buddha. And I told them I don't want to have paper, and I just gave it back to the person. He didn't know why, and he took it back. After 3 minutes, someone else came. They brought the same paper. They said, sir, lifted up the plate and tried to keep the paper. I said, no, thank you very much. I don't want a paper under the plate. I don't want to eat on a statement of Buddha. He said, I respect Buddha a lot. I've been influenced by Buddhism. I said, no way. Incidentally, Buddhism is one among the philosophies which has a lot of points about sustainability. A lot of points. And they didn't understand me why I'm insisting, but anyway, then they went back. From that day onwards, I have never had my plate in any restaurant on one of those papers. I don't see any reason why it should be there. And anyway, they wipe the table. It's not that by keeping the paper, they don't wipe the table later. If they tell me, Satya, you better keep the paper because we don't wipe the table, I will let the paper be there. They're all unnecessary. And there are a lot of such things happening around today. And I have done a lot of introspection of this. I can give you 25 examples of this where we can say no. But it's very difficult to say no. Very difficult to say no. Way back in mid-90s, I was involved with one Leo Saldana of Environment Support Group in Bangalore, and he was telling me how the, these paper napkins which we use, the fine ones, they were telling me how long it takes for that paper napkin to become part of earth once again. And my mother had taught me when I was young to say that whenever I go out, I have to carry a napkin. And it has been a habit. It's a simple habit. Anyway, I hadn't done great use of paper napkin till then, luckily, but I used to use it once in a while. And when I heard this, one of the last days I used paper napkins. Even now I don't. Sometimes very difficult. There are restaurants now, even in India, where there is no wash basin. There's no wash basin. It's very difficult. They'll give you the finger bowl or something like that. And it's a very strange habit because when you lift your finger finally up, you are lifting your fingers from the dirty water there. Strange habits. Or they'll give the paper napkins, and I've been saying no. But they're very difficult to practice all this. Let me also share with you the kind of gut feeling which I have got now to say it in public is only very recent. In the last, this is what, month of September? Since the last August to this September, if I look at the last 12 months, I got a chance to speak in about 7 or 8 forums in different places for various reasons. And I decided to say one thing. And I know that some of you will say, oh, Satya is just going on talking about himself. But it's a journey which one is sharing with you all. And unless we start speaking about what we believe in, just by showing some colorful slides on the wall, which everyone enjoys to see for a while and then forget it, it's not going to make an impact. The first statement which I picked up from seminar which I mentioned, there was an old-time statement, charity begins at home. So like the sustainability begins at home. So it's important that we talk about what we are doing. It's important that we share what we believe in as strongly as we can. I don't think we should be ashamed of saying this openly, loudly. My mother had taught me never to waste food. And she used to threaten us when we were children. They used to say, if you waste food, I'll tie it to your head. In Kannada, talai kattene anta. The food will be tied here. And one would shiver and eat whatever is served. Now, these have taught us many lessons, not to waste food. And one was observing that in many, I was just telling about how eco-friendliness for us is not style specific. There's a very minimalistic house we have done, contemporary, minimalistic, whatever. We try to bring in all our concepts into this building also. So, I'm telling you something which I've never shared in public till now, but today I'm going to share it with you. Because slowly, I'm also getting this little gut feeling of sharing with people. I used to notice that in flights, they'll serve something. You may like it, you may not like it, but at least I would eat everything that I can. And I did a house for one air hostess in Air India. So one day I asked her, what you did with all those, small little pickles and salt and sugar and a lot of other things you give in the flight, what happens to them? She said, it all goes waste because you're not supposed to use any of those, just goes as a waste. And I said, whatever I'm not eating in the flight, if it's something which I can bring back, I will carry it back home. First couple of months, whenever I did that, I would do it very carefully so that the neighbor sitting to me who never knows me, whom I will never meet in my life, but I don't want that unknown person to get some bad feeling about this unknown person as long as we both live, etc. I would very stealthily put it in my pocket somewhere here or somewhere there. And now I do it very openly. Whatever is left, which I am not able to eat, I just pick it up. And all that which becomes waste has to go somewhere. This is at our house. We have a little dump, waste dump there. All the biodegradable goes there. There's an open well in our house, from my own house only. So the point is that why is climate change happening? It's happening because we have changed. Climate has not changed. Climate by itself has not changed. We have changed. And there is no way we should blame climate for it. And unless we change for the better, climate change will happen. Whatever you and I may say, whatever we may talk of Earth Matters and GHG and IPC things and Rio conferences and whatever number of conferences we may do, now the time is no more to talk of climate. The time is for our sisters to say how we have to change. And eco-friendly, I'm just going to read this out. I know it's on the screen, but I'll still read it out. Eco-friendly designing is much about deciding how to build, but much more about deciding how to live. And if that is a kind of a challenge we are going to live with, then the question we need to ask is, am I an eco-friendly person or not? It's a very simple question that we need to ask all of ourselves. And I don't know there is any solution to these kind of statements, or there is a way to answer these statements, but I've just mentioned 4 lines here. Again, these 4 lines have come from a retrospection, from a journey over the last 17 years. Thank you for all your patient listening. It's 9:40, quite late already, but I hope I have not delayed your food for body by sharing the food for thought. Thanks and good night. As long as the question is not going to be, when would the drinks be served?
Anyone for questions?
Hey, look, I didn't say anything about the buildings. We just went on showing some slides there. And some of you may have some questions and worries about what kind of buildings are they.
Satya, one simple question. Which is more eco-friendly, using the natural materials, cutting from the natural, the topsoil, or disturbing the topsoil and things like that, or going in for products out of recycling and reusing kind of a thing? But that may not be natural, something like your fly ash brick, or now they say the AAC, the aerated autoclaved blocks, they use 70% of fly ash and things like that. Now, to compare between this fly ash block and these AAC blocks and a natural clay block or a granite block,
okay,
which is more greener and eco-friendly?
Yeah. Both are not. All that we can do is to minimize the harm we are doing. Even natural materials also harm. So if the topsoil is gone, it's gone. It'll take maybe another 50,000 years to regain the topsoil somewhere. Trees, yes, maybe they'll grow in 20 years, but many things are not that easy. Yes, but in principle we can say if something could be renewable, that's where the whole theory comes. If there is renewable energy, renewable material, renewable, reusable, etc., yes, it does minimize on the damage. For example, many of us do know that in India there has been a great revolution about using cotton clothes in the recent decades, which is a very, very interesting thing. No one has talked about it in the open, but from all the synthetic materials, many people have moved over to the cotton, which makes much, much more sense from health and much more from ecological perspective. So that's kind of a change has to take place. Yes.
Do you believe in those? Okay. Do you believe in these green ratings and lead ratings, USGBC, IGBC, all that stuff?
Anyone here?
And have you applied for any of your buildings?
Anyone here who's from the IGBC group or lead or something? Oh, thanks. I'll be open. You'll have to edit the statement. I'm just joking. No, they said it'll be on the Facebook tomorrow. I said, edit that part maybe. See, I've been receiving some mails from IGBC during the earlier years also when they were trying to Indianize the rating systems, but I didn't respond much to them. I'm also I've been called by IGBC for speaking this last time in Delhi, this time also going to be in Hyderabad. Also we were there in the Pune Green Homes Conference, a couple of people in IGBC we know. And I asked IGBC people, why are you calling me? Because we don't prescribe anything of what you do, and we're doing some simple buildings, local, small-scale buildings, mainly houses, and maybe a few non-public buildings, non-residential buildings where we apply our theories. But we are not into the league at all, into the green league at all in any way, into the IGBC league at all. But IGBC also has changed a lot nowadays. To share that with you, they have realized that to understand green in Indian context is important to recognize this kind of Jaisim's kind of Chitra Vishwanath's kind of Laurie Baker kind of architects. Otherwise, it becomes a kind of a farce. But where IGBC has scored well, in my opinion, see, there are certain buildings which were to anyway consume a lot of energy. Because of these IGBC and lead rating and all that, those buildings which otherwise would have consumed, say, X quantum of energy, and when I'm saying energy, I'm using the energy in a broader spectrum. So that has become X minus somewhere, by some quantity at least. It has helped. But also the drawback there is this, that X minus which has happened, again has happened at a lot of cost, and that has not yet been quantified. I happened to see the very first, supposedly, net zero building in India. I was in Murtal for one of these again conferences of this kind. And then as part of the conference, there was a field trip, and all of us were taken to this first net zero building near Delhi. I went and saw that. It's very interesting, but it's a very basic, simple building. Of course, not a very complex building like a star hotel. But at least they've attempted. But then if you start looking at the solar panels, they're all Moser Bayer solar panels, and the total, what we call as the embodied energy. Incidentally, one has not spoken those technical terms here today. It's all available everywhere, so you can go ahead and do that part anyway. So if one looks at the total embodied energy which has gone into making the solar panel, then if you look at the life cycle of a solar panel and the reusability of a solar panel, and then finally come back into what kind of net zero building we're talking about, maybe it's not really net zero. But still, it's a small step ahead. Maybe in few decades, we will have the true net zero building. True net zero building. It will take time. So I would definitely appreciate IGBC's efforts in that sense, yes. But then with some little reservations.
As an architect who's both practicing and preaching eco-friendly architecture, what is your opinion on concrete and reinforced concrete which is used? Because most of your slides we could see buildings with, even smaller buildings with frame structures. What is your opinion on...
Okay. See, the kind of houses we do, they're mostly not frame structures. There are hardly any, unless there is a reason to go for what we can call as a composite structure. There's only large area where living, dining space are happening. There could be some 3-4 pillars. We have some excellent structural engineers with us, Ashwath, Ravindranath, Srinivas Kaiwar. We are doing buildings even in 1.5 grounds, 50-80 site, no pillars, nothing. So it's, that way has been very, very happy. The larger buildings, multi-story, G+3, G+4, you can't help it still. But in principle, one of the things we have achieved is the total concrete component in what we are doing is a little less than what happens around. If I go to any site where we're doing a house and look around, I can very proudly say that our building has the least of concrete. Concrete is a great material, one of the most versatile material, one of the most historic material. Today, if you're able to see Roman structures, even today is because of concrete. It's an amazing material. So we are not against concrete. It's just that one has to be judicious in using any material. That's only the point. If we can replace a material like concrete by something else, let's say filler slab. It's not very easy to convince people to go for filler slab. It's very difficult to convince. And the early years in our practice, we used to go to that extent of thinking we may get the project or we may lose the project, but we will put our argument forward. Let us see what happens.
So how are you dealing with the client when you're putting forward? How are you dealing with the clients?
Not very easy. Not very easy.
Could you please tell your practical experience?
I was lucky. See, when I returned to Bangalore, one was not keen to practice because I've already done some bit here and there. So I joined in a college. I became one of the founder trustees of a group called Civic Bangalore, one of its first of its kind in India in those days, and started our own small group called Udbhava. But then few people came and asked us, would you like to design a house? And I initially said no because I get some salary here, I'm busy in Udbhava and Civic. But then no, actually you're obliged and you start. Someone did say that, look, I would like to design a house if I can design like Laurie Baker. They didn't know what Laurie Baker did, of course. Or would show photographs and all that. Some people said, no, I doesn't like, no, I don't like this, etc. But some idea, they said, okay, you can do this, we get our ideas in. So it was a very negotiated kind of a design process initially. So the first 94 to 96, 97, we did hardly about 5 houses, not really large number. But all the 5 houses were done with those kind of principles. And Kannades were I had worked with Shankar Khan and Navanath Kannade. So we used a lot of stone and bricks and the skylights right from day one. The very first house we did, we had a puja room with skylight with a curved wall. So the very first 4 or 5 houses we did had many of these alternate ideas. In the first 5 houses we had rat trap bond, we had, in those no filler slab, but we had holiday roof, we had precast joist, we had skylights, we had a lot of things were there. But then what happened when people came to the Greh Pravesham, they would see that and the word would go around. So when people subsequently came to us, they came to us partly because these elements were there. But when people came to us with different ideas, we made very clear to them saying that, look, we would rather do 10 houses which everyone would appreciate, you would be happy with. It could be only 10. We don't want to do 100 ordinary buildings. We would rather do 10 special buildings, but not 100 ordinary buildings. We may lose this building. Doesn't matter, as long as there are some 10 people in Bangalore somewhere who will come to us, we'll be happy. See, but then I had this income from college also. Not very great income as a private college, but there was some income from there. A small family, and all along I have lived a very simple life. Even at home also we are like this. Never bought a car which is younger than 10 years. Today I'm driving a car which is in its 16th year. Recently went around and got that fitness certificate done. But see, the point is this, just like we want to extend the economic life and health life of our body, everything that we use, we should extend its life as much as possible. One of the principles of sustainability is that the longer the lifespan of a material, across the years, lower its impact could be in terms of negative impacts. So you start doing it, then people start believing in you. And then slowly, there are people who believe in that, they come slowly. But yes, it takes some little struggle with the owners. But also see, when the owners do feel that you're not just preaching, you're actually living what you're talking, I think the message goes a little more easily.